Where there is black, there is white. Where there is dark, there is light.
And when there is a horror genre, there is comedy horror parody that mercilessly mocks it.
Baldi! This is Ghostface.
Do you enjoy your time on Earth? No? Well, check out Baldi's Basics in Education and Learning.
A simple math game released in 2018, your teacher Baldi Baltimore gives you helpful tips on math as you meet new friends, solve problems,
and avoid Baldi beating the shit out of you.
What at first glance seems to be a simple throwback to old computer entertainment, it has a bit more than it looks like under the surface. When starting, Baldi is a nice math teacher giving you some basic math instructions, but when the player finds that one of these problems is completely illegible, Baldi gets upset with the player and will begin hunting them down through the school with a ruler in hand. But he actually has plenty more equipment up his sleeves.
Contrary to how he looks, Baldi is a genius. He's invented incredible technologies, can solve complex equations in seconds, and even figured out how to make good money as a teacher by making merchandise of his video games. He even invented a portal poster, which you can place on a wall and become a portal to walk right through it.
He's used various bear traps, which, I've never seen used to trap an actual bear, a fog machine that can turn the entire school into a gnarly Minecraft screenshot, and a tricking device that he accidentally blew up. But Baldi isn't a threat just because of his technology, as his bigger strengths come from his natural abilities. Most notably his super hearing, which allows him to hear any sound in the entirety of the schoolhouse with pinpoint precision, even knowing who made the sounds. But he has way more powers than that don't really make much sense, but, they are funny.
He can reverse gravity, change the layout of his school, bite through a metal mailbox, eat a whole apple in less than 10 seconds, and eat the words of his own damn comic strip. This guy ate an entire hairbrush without realizing it.
And all of this is amplified the anger he gets. Whether it's through math problems or just straight up pissing him off, his power increases with his rage, to the point where he moves so fast you can't even see him moving. And we haven't even mentioned the most important part of Baldi's kit, his staff. From a robot who can move so fast he runs through walls, to a sock that teleports you to him, to a broom that overpowers all the others. Baldi's friends offer a variety of obstacles for the player, though they can often end up working against him.
Baldi's main issue is that while he's incredibly book smart, he tends to lack common sense. His machines constantly backfire, his friends mess with his plans, and his tunnel vision can make him upset over tiny details he really shouldn't.
Unfortunately, that's all he needs to be a massive threat. You should really get out while you still can!
In the towns of Woodsboro, Sydney Prescott was having a bad time.
Was she fighting Sans Undertale?
Her mother died.
Oh.
Yeah, and to make matters worse, on a fateful night where a party between friends turned deadly, a killer went on the loose. The Ghostface had arrived. Eventually, it was revealed that the killer was actually two people. Her boyfriend Billy Loomis and her classmate Stu Macher, both of whom were behind the death of her mother the whole time.
But while Billy and Sue died that night at the hand of Sydney, the spirit of Ghostface would live on. Literally, as people continued to take on the mask to commit killing sprees as the character.
For the sake of argument, we're compositing the Ghostfaces together into one Ghostface. They're all normal humans anyway, so they should all reasonably scale to each other.
Unfortunately, normal humans in Scream Heroes aren't as easy to kill as you think. They've survived getting shot 3 times in the chest, taking a defibrillator shock to the head, and getting set on fire. And all 3 of them were able to get up and continue as they were just fine.
And all the Ghostfaces are extremely intelligent. Danny from Dead by Daylight faked an entire string of murders to get himself famous, whereas Wayne was a police chief who faked his own daughter's death. And of course, they can't be a horror villain without being a master at stealth. Most of the time.
No matter which Ghostface it is, they all tend to use a phone call to their victim before coming in with a buck 120 hunting knife for the kill. Classic, but not always getting the job done. They yield pistols to shotguns, flamethrowers to full-on rocket launchers.
Ghostface normally saves these as the last resort, since normally he needs his knife thanks to his many tricks up his sleeve. He can swap out with fellow killers, mimic voices with the voice changer, disable others' abilities to detect them, and even shapeshift to blend in with others.
Guess you can say that Ghostface was pretty
Stop
sus.
posting about Among Us! I'm tired of hearing it!
That brings us into Ghostface's main weakness. They're an egomaniac. They constantly overestimate themselves, getting into really embarrassing moments that most slasher villains can just waltz through, and can pull this typical supervillain sin of monologuing at the end, which leads directly to their deaths.
Nonetheless, when you pick up a phone on a scary night, you best pray you don't hear 7 days. Shit! Baldi Schoolhouse, Baldi speaking.
Hello, Baldi. Do you like scary movies?
What?
I gotta say, not a big fan of your work. You call yourself a satire of the horror genre, yet act as a giant cash cow like everyone else.
Let's play hide and seek.
This trick won't work for long. You may have a fog machine, but I have the element.
I forgot to tell you. I set up some bear traps.
I see. I hunt people for all eternity.
These games won't last, Baldi.
Looks like it's sweeping time!
Let's play.
I'll cut into your neck until I feel bone.
No stabbing people in the halls.
You act like you're high and mighty, but you're just like all the other mascot horror games. A barely liked caricature, desperately grasping the YouTube algorithm for a quick buck. You know nothing of horror. You're a disgrace to the genre.
I hear every door you open. What's so funny, wise guy?
Game over.
It always comes back to Among Us, doesn't it?
While Baldi seemed to be physically tougher, Ghostface actually was pretty equivalent overall. While Baldi can do things like eating mailbox and getting rammed through doors, Ghostface can also kick through doors himself and survived on plenty of brutal shit. Regardless of what Baldi can do, Ghostface would be able to survive it.
On the surface, it seems that Baldi's abilities would be much more than a match for Ghostface. However, Ghostface's abilities such as Night Shroud and his shapeshifting allow him to counteract things like Baldi's superhuman hearing, which has been actively deterred with him on multiple occasions. Likewise, fourth wall awareness and gravity manipulation, they sound pretty good on paper, but from what he's demonstrated, he realistically wouldn't be able to do much other than provide a small distraction for Ghostface.
While Baldi definitely was smarter on a more intellectual level and has a variety of tricky gadgets, he's been shown to be tricked and have his own tools used against him, something that is constant with Ghostface regardless of his being mask. Likewise, knives and guns are just going to be way more useful in a battle than a ruler in a bear trap.
While we did composite Ghostface, there's normally one or two accomplices to the killer. But no matter what version of Ghostface we use, they're constantly outnumbered by Baldi's crew. Well, Baldi's staff consists of several children, a broom, a cloud, a sock, and whatever the hell Chockles is. At the end of the day, there's really nothing stopping Ghostface from turning Baldi's school into Pico School, if you get what I'm saying.
Best Fiction Fights winner is Ghostface.